Welcome back. This is week 2 of our Lighthouse project. Last time we drew out our lighthouse, colored in our island as well as our lighthouse, and designed our light rays. If you need to finish those, you can go back to the first video. If you're ready for the sky and the ocean, let's get started. So for the sky, it should either be nighttime or it should be sunset. My left is going to be a sunset, and my right is going to be a night sky. For the sunset, you need purple, red, orange, and yellow with something you can blend, so crayons, color pencils. For the night sky, I'm going to do a wax resist, so I did little crayon dots for my stars in white and yellow, and then I'm going to paint on top of it with watercolor. If you are doing a sunset like I am doing on the left, look how I am trying to color evenly so you can't see my lines that much. And for the big areas, I'm trying to go horizontal, left to right. So I did above my lighthouse purple and a little bit underneath. Then I'm going to take a red and overlap the purple just a little bit, and then lightly shade in down the paper a little farther. So that transition from red to purple should look kind of like it's blending together if you did each of them lightly. I'm going to continue the red down the page. Once again, I'm doing it lightly so that way I have an area so I can blend the next color, which will be orange. You can see in my night sky, I'm doing black, but I'm also probably going to add a little bit of purple and blue just so that it has some interesting color to it. I'm also on that right side adding water so that way later my crayon marks will show through. Back to my left side where I'm doing the blending. See how I started the orange on top of the red, and then, like the red, added some lighter areas down near the bottom of my orange, but not to my horizon line yet. Then I'm going to take yellow and I'm going to finish the bottom of my sunset with the yellow. And see how I overlap it into the orange so that way it creates a kind of transition from the orange to the yellow. It's okay if this is not perfect. Take your time, try your best. If you're not done with your sky, pause now. We're going to do the ocean next. Make sure your sky is dry. So the first thing you're going to do is divide the ocean into sections. I'm just using curved lines. You don't have to do this as well. You could just color in your ocean, but I want to make it interesting, kind of like how my light is interesting. Notice how I also did that little section to the left of the lighthouse, showing that there's ocean over there. Now for your ocean, kind of like the sky, there are a few different ways you can do it. The first way I'm going to do is in those sections, I'm going to blend colors from one side to the other. So I'm going to do a light blue, and then I'm going to do a dark blue that it fades into, kind of like how I did my sunset. So you could color each of the sections individually, or kind of like the right side, you could color the whole thing. You can also paint if you'd like to. So it's up to you how you want to do that. You could also color in and do the lines after, or kind of like how we did the light, you can add different kinds of line designs. That is up to you. But if you are doing the left one, what I am doing is just shading in from any corner or any side with one color. And then the opposite, I'm starting with the other color. And when they meet in the middle, I do it a little bit lighter so that way they can blend. On my right side, I'm deciding that I don't think there's enough design, so I'm going to add some more. So this is a good time to make some decisions about how you would like to do your ocean to make it look interesting. The last thing we're going to do to give your lighthouse some dimension is do some shading on it. For the shading, we're going to think of it like a cylinder or like a cone. So when you think of a cylinder or a rounded object, its shadow is going to go from light to dark. So we're going to pretend our light source is on the right side, and on the left side, it will go from dark and then fade to light as it goes around the object. The lines that you're shading with should kind of curve a little bit like the object. You can use crayon for this, you can use color pencil, you could use charcoal pencils, anything that fades. There will also be a drop shadow, which is the shadow on the ground. See how it goes from the front, kind of near where the shadow turns to light? It also will go from the back, kind of the side of the cylinder and not really exactly the bottom. This is what it looks like with pencil. Once again, really dark on the left side, fading to lighter as it goes around the object. About midway, it will stop and just turn light. The drop shadow will go from that midway point at an angle, and the back of the shadow will come from behind the object. So not exactly at that corner, but a little bit up. Let me show you what that's going to look like on our lighthouse. So since I use crayon, I'm going to use crayon again. So the whole left side of my lighthouse, I'm going to start with a kind of dark line. You can see on my right side, I'm going to do it with pencil. Then I'm going to make little curved lines and kind of shade it so that way, as it goes away from the left side, it gets lighter and lighter until it is white. Take your time on this, practice if you need to, but you want to make sure that it goes from dark to light gradually. By the time it gets to the middle, it should be fading into white if you're going to take the shadow that far over. For the drop shadow or the shadow on the ground, that's not going to fade, it's only going to be one kind of medium gray. That shadow, if you look to the left, is going to start right where the shadow on the lighthouse starts to fade. And for the back line, it's going to come out from the side of the lighthouse and run parallel to my front line. It's going to go off the page because the lighthouse is really tall. And I also can shade the top of the lighthouse kind of like how I did the rest of it. Just a little light to dark. So once again, here is going from light to dark on the bottom of the lighthouse. Remember, you can use the top of the lighthouse too, or its little triangle. The drop shadow, which is the shadow on the ground, is going to be that one kind of tone of gray. It goes from where the shadow starts to turn light on the front side, and it will end, or the back side of the shadow will be beginning a little bit behind that bottom left point of the lighthouse and run parallel. Once you're done with your lighthouse, you're going to take a photo of it. Make sure that you are taking a photo straight on. Try to find a neutral background without any objects in it. You want to have good lighting so you can see all of your colors. And you want to line up the top and the bottom of your picture with the top and the bottom of the frame. And there you have it, an expressive lighthouse radiating light onto the ocean.